Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Jai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Glories to Sri Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 O my Lord, Sri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, of all-pervading personality of Godhead, after my respectful obeisances unto you, reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, translation commentary by Srila Prabhupada, Canto 5, The Creative Impetus, Chapter 3, Lord Rishabhadev's appearance, and today's text is number 12. Sanskrit prose, I'll just read it through and then we'll do the word for word responsively. Atakanchit skalena kshut patana drimbhana duravasthan nadishu vivashnang na smaranaya jvara marana dashayam api sakala kashmala nirasanani tapaguna krita namadheyani vachana gocharani bhavantu. Word for word. Ata. Still. Katanchit. Somehow or other. Skalana. Stumbling. Kshut. Hunger. Patana. Falling down. Drimbhana. Yawning. Duravasthana. Because of being placed in an undesirable position. Adishu. And so on. Vivashanam. Unable. Naha. Of ourselves. Smaranaya. To remember. Jvara marana dashayam. In the case of having a high fever at the time of death. Api. Also. Sakala. All. Kashmala. Sins. Nirasanani. Which can dispel. Tava. Your. Guna. Attributes. Krita. Activities. Namadheyani. Names. Vachanagocharani. Possible to be uttered. Bhavantu. Let them become. And this is the King Nabi's priests continuing to pray to the Lord on his behalf. Translation, Dear Lord, we may not be able to remember your name, form, and qualities due to stumbling, hunger, falling down, yawning, or being in a miserable diseased condition at the time of death when there is a high fever. We therefore pray unto you, O Lord, for you are very affectionate to your devotees. Please help us remember you and utter your holy names, attributes, and activities which can dispel all the reactions of our sinful lives. Please repeat, Dear Lord,
Dear Lord,
we may not be able to remember your name,
we may not be able to remember your name,
form, and qualities
form, and qualities,
due to stumbling, hunger, falling down,
due to stumbling, hunger, falling down,
yawning, or being in a miserable, diseased condition
dying, or being in a miserable disease condition.
at the time of death,
At the time of death,
when there is a high fever.
when there is a high fever,
We therefore pray unto you, O Lord,
we therefore pray to the Lord,
for you are very affectionate to your devotees.
for you are very affectionate to your devotees.
Please help us remember you
Please help us remember you,
and utter your holy names,
utter your holy names,
attributes, and activities,
attributes, and activities,
which can dispel
and dispel
all the reactions of our sinful lives.
all the actions of our lives.
Srila Prabhupada's purport: the real success in life is Ante Narayana Smriti, remembering the holy name, attributes, and activities and form of the Lord at the time of death. Although we may be engaged in the Lord's devotional service in the temple, material conditions are so tough and inevitable that we may forget the Lord at the time of death due to a diseased condition or mental derangement. Therefore, we should pray to the Lord to be able to remember his lotus feet without fail at the time of death when we are in such a precarious condition. In this regard, one may also see Srimad Bhagavatam 6, 2, 9, and 10, and 14, 15. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Jnana Tivarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master is kindly opening my eyes with the torch of knowledge. Offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Thank you, Gauranga Prabhu, for the water. Okay, so this is text 12, and in text 9 through 11, King Nabi's priests, they were expressing their realization, actually, that the Lord's appearance at the sacrifice was his mercy and was for their benefit. It was for their benefit. Now, Now, so in today's text 12, so once they realized that it was for their benefit, the priests decide to ask the Lord for the greatest benediction. So, okay, if he's appearing for our benefit, then let's get the ultimate benefit. Let's get the ultimate mercy. So they ask for the greatest benediction of remembering the Lord at death. Yeah. So that's the request. And in his purport, Prabhupada says, quote, we should pray to the Lord to be able to remember his lotus feet without fail at the time of death when we are in such a precarious condition. So, I mean, that's putting it mildly. Precarious condition, right? And the body's, it doesn't work anymore. You can hardly see, you can hardly hear, you can't taste. I mean, this is Prabhupada's pure devotee of the Lord, and he was very he was practically almost blind, by the end. And he was having trouble hearing people. So there's a nice description. Well, let me just read this. So yeah, materially, so no one really dies peacefully. Despite, you sometimes you hear that. Oh, he died very peacefully. He died in his sleep. So it's a time of great pain, actually, materially speaking, and terror. Like nothing works anymore, and where are you going, and so, and the whole body, it just collapses, and the mind is deranged. And this is actually described in Krishna book in the fight between the Shiva Dwara and the Narayan Dwara. Because Lord, it was a big fight. Banasura. Finally, he met his match with Krishna because he had 10 arms and nobody could beat. Nobody could even stand up to him. So, but he received a benediction from Lord Shiva because he was a great devotee of Lord Shiva. That soon you will meet your match. Soon you will meet a worthy opponent. Right? So during the fight, there was the Shiva Dwara, the weapon of Lord Shiva, personified. And there is also a Narayan Dwara. And Shiva Dwara is very hot, and Narayan Dwara is very cold. So here it is. Here's the relevant paragraph as it relates to the time of death. So as there is a Shiva Dwara weapon, there is also a Narayan Dwara weapon, which is represented by excessive cold. And then Prabhupada writes, when there is excessive heat, one can somehow or other tolerate it. As we know well here, Tucson, Arizona. Jai Mataji, Hare Krishna. We were hearing how you said the program yesterday for you was the best ever.
But this was quite amazing.
That's great.
But I have to.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jai. Haribol.
Great time here for me. Very inspiring. And the program yesterday was a cherry on the cake.
Jai.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming. Hopefully,
Yes.
Thank you for having me, and I hope to see you again, maybe by a four. Or, I mean, if we keep at it, I'll be back next year.
Okay. We're going to hold you to that.
Something out
Please send us your blessings in my court.
there. On the bench.
Haribol. Okay. When there is excessive heat, one can somehow or other tolerate it, but when there is excessive cold, everything collapses. And then Prabhupada says, this is actually experienced by a person at the time of death. At the time of death, the temperature of the body, first of all, increases to 107 degrees Fahrenheit. Like when somebody's really, they got a high fever and then everybody starts getting worried. Oh, that means they're going to pass away. We've got to reduce the fever somehow. So if it gets up, 107, that's really radical. Fahrenheit. And then the whole body collapses. So that's the death fever. And immediately becomes as cold as ice. So you go from excessive heat to excessive cold. And Damodar knows, Prabhu knows, that Tulsi, for example, she doesn't like that when there's too radical a change in the temperature. It's too much. And you can actually, they can actually leave their body. It's such a shock. Yes. It's cold as ice. Okay. I just wanted to bring in that reference from Krishna book. So, so the body collapses and the mind is deranged. Thus, Srila Prabhupada calls death, quote, a precarious position. The most precarious, actually. That's why we have that prayer from that Prabhupada quote from King Kulashekar, Vakundamala Stotra. Anybody know this? Krishnatpadiya pada pankata pancharantam. Prabhupada quote, it's Stotra 33. Adhyaiva me vishitu manasa raja hamsa prana prayana samaye tapapada pitto kantavaro dhanavidho smaranam kutaste. So King Kulashekar was one of the Alvars, great devotees, South Indian Alvars, that please, Lord, let my mind be entangled in the stems of your lotus feet. It's all metaphorical. Otherwise, at the time, now, let me die now, when my mind is in good order. Let me be entangled in the stems of your lotus feet. Otherwise, at the time of my final breath, when I'll be choked up with cough, I may not be able to remember you, what to speak of, call your name. So the priests are praying to remember the Lord during this critical transition time. Yeah. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti, he also has his commentary on this verse. I'm paraphrasing now, but actually, no, Vishwanath, he's actually paraphrasing the priest's prayer. So this is what he literally says as it's translated. By Bhanu Maharaj. Quote, even if we have unsteady, dull minds, let us think of you, so that persons like us, who cannot normally remember you, may remember you. Please make your names available to us. Yeah. In this regard, I thought of, so available to us. So I was thinking of one of my godbrothers, Gunagrahi Maharaj. He got notice. He got prostate cancer, and he let it go too far. He tried to treat it naturally, and it didn't work. And he went to Vrindavan, and I think was it in Pritu's place or Giriraj's place? I think it was Giriraj. And they have a place in Vrindavan. And so he was doing well. I mean, even when he was in hospice, he was leading kirtans, and he was on Facebook, and you could, join the Facebook. It was kind of live streamed. But at the end, it was, he couldn't. He was being overwhelmed. His body was being overwhelmed by the disease. So he joined in Buffalo in 68, 69. And so how did Krishna make himself available to Gunagrahi Maharaj at the time of death, especially? Well, two of his colleagues who also joined in Buffalo, it was Borijan and Bibi Govinda Maharaj. He was Ayodhyapati. He became Ayodhyapati, then Bibi Govinda. So they each got, and this was all live streamed. This was the first, passing away in ISKCON that was live streamed on Facebook. Live streamed. Borijan got in one ear, and Bibi Govinda got on the other side of his ear. And they were just roaring in his ear the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. And then he passed away, hearing the holy name, because you can hear. That's the last sense usually to go. Yeah, like when Jayananda Prabhu left, he was on his side and was hearing the holy name on the Kirtan, Hare Krishna Kirtan, from the Happening album. Okay. Yeah. Now, since Srila Prabhupada's purport is all about remembering the Lord at death, he concludes the purport by referring us to Bhagavatam 6:2, 9, and 10, and 14 and 15. So, being very curious, what's this? So I went to 6th canto, and I recognized it had to be during the Ajamil pastime. So sure enough, it's 6:2. 2 is the Ajamil delivered by the Vishnu Dutas, because you remember the pastime, the Yamadutas wanted to take him because he had led such a sinful life. But then at the last, he called his son Narayan, and the Vishnu Dutas came and And so this is the Vishnu Duta speaking in text 9 and 10, and then 14 and 15. So the translation is, the chanting of the holy name of Lord Vishnu is the best process of atonement for a thief of gold or other valuables, for a drunkard, for one who betrays a friend or relative, for one who kills a Brahmin, and Jamil, he had become corrupted, and to support, this addiction to a prostitute, he became all of these things. Or for one who indulges in sex with the wife of his guru or another superior. I don't know about that one, but that's pretty heavy. It is also the best method of atonement for one who murders women, the king or his father, or one who slaughters cows, and for all other sinful men. No matter how sinful you are, the holy name can redeem you. Simply by chanting the holy name of Lord Vishnu, such sinful persons may attract the attention of the Supreme Lord, who therefore considers, quote, because this man has chanted my holy name, my duty is to give him protection. Of course, the other side of that is that if we sin in the strength of chanting, then that's the greatest offense. So if we chant in helplessness, like Jamil did, even though he was just calling the name of his son, because he chanted in complete helplessness and without offense, he was redeemed. So, so we can't, so hearing this, the power of the name, we can't, oh, this is very good. Like, what's the old Catholic syndrome, Saturday night, you do it, you party all night or whatever you do your sinful, and then Sunday morning confession. Did you go to confession?
Yeah, no, it's Saturday night, Friday night confession, and then Saturday.
Oh, that's it's the same. It's
You got a whole week.
you got a whole week to party and break all the principles. Oh, it's Friday night confession.
Well, Friday, you could go any night, but Friday or Saturday night confession.
Uh-huh. And then whoop it up. Okay. My duty is to give him protection. Okay, so that's 9 and 10. And then 14 and 15. Okay, 14. One who chants the holy name of the Lord is immediately freed from the reactions of unlimited sins. If he chants indirectly, or even if he chants indirectly, and then brackets, it means to indicate something else. Yeah, just like you might go to Bolarama. Let's go to Bolarama, but you get cred for that, for having chanted the Rama in Bolarama. Even if he's jokingly, like we get that all the time in Harinam, right? Jokingly. For musical entertainment, you just, this is a cool song, Let's see. Or even neglectfully. This is accepted by all the learned scholars of the scriptures. And then 15, this is a really amazing. Yeah, neglectfully, well, I can... Arjaba. Yeah, right. Chanting japa while you're doom scrolling or on your phone, or watching the Super Bowl, or Hare Krishna, Hare. Did you see that, Prabhu? Hare Ram, Hare. See that catch?
There was, can I just say this funny story? There was this one who wasn't initiated, and he was like a little bit nutty, but he said one time that if you chant Hare Krishna during commercials and you watch TV for 12 hours straight, you get 16.
I don't think you got the memo about attentive chanting, right? Okay. So here is 15. Listen to this. If one chants the holy name of Hari and then dies because of an accidental misfortune, such as falling from the top of a house. Actually, a dangerous occupation, roofers. Yeah, you can actually die from that occupation. Slipping and suffering broken bones while traveling on the road. Whoa. Being bitten by a serpent, being afflicted with pain and high fever, or being injured by a weapon. One is immediately absolved from having to enter hellish life, even though he is sinful. Yeah. So let's see here. Wait a minute. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to bring in a purport because, now we're kind of the specter of the passing of Charu is coming to us, right? Because of all these, what we've been hearing. Charu Prabhu. So there's a nice verse in the 8th chapter, Attaining the Supreme. Okay, let's go there. I think it's 827. Different ways of passing from this world, one in light and one in darkness. And at the end of all that, Krishna says to Arjuna, Naite sruti partha janan yogi muhyati kaschana tasmat sarveshu bhuteshu yoga yukto bhavarjuna. So Krishna says, although the devotees know these two paths, O Arjuna, they are never bewildered. Therefore, be always fixed in devotion. And in the purport, Prabhupada says, Krishna is here advising Arjuna that he should not be disturbed by the different paths the soul can take when leaving the material world. A devotee of the Supreme Lord should not worry whether he will depart by arrangement or by accident. That's what happened to Charu. And we heard the authorities are going to do an autopsy on Charu's body to see if he had a heart attack or maybe he just fell asleep at the wheel. The devotee should be firmly established in Krishna consciousness and chant Hare Krishna. He should know that concern over either of these two paths is troublesome. The best way to be absorbed in Krishna consciousness is to be always dovetailed in his service. And this will make one's path to the spiritual kingdom safe, certain, and direct. So it's not that, we do a whole life in service and then by some quirk of fate or whatever, that we can't remember Krishna at the time of death. No, Krishna doesn't. Even if we forget Krishna, he doesn't forget us. So safe, certain, and direct. The word yoga yukta is especially significant in this verse. One who is firm in yoga is constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness and all his activities. Sri Rupa Goswami advises, Anasatasya vishayam yatarham upayunjataha. One should be unattached in material affairs and do everything in Krishna consciousness. By this system, which is called yukta vairagya, one attains perfection. Therefore, the devotee is not disturbed by these descriptions because he knows that his passage to the supreme abode is guaranteed by devotional service. Yeah. Okay, so so Charu Prabhu's passing, shocking news. And I first heard it on the Sabha. We have a chat, and so somebody posted something was forwarded to her. This lady Vrinda on our chat, and she posted this and immediately shocked all of us because it had just happened. And then somebody else posted that the day before, Charu had given a talk. This is his last public talk and it was posted on his Facebook page. And it was all about how life is short, and so we all have to prepare for death. That's what it was. So Krishna was giving him like the perfect script for his swan song, his farewell address. Yeah. So.
It reminds me of Badrinarayan Swami in his last class. He said the bell rang, and he said, "I know for whom the bell
tolls, the bell tolls for thee." Yeah, famous line from literature. And also, there's another when Tamal Krishna Maharaj. I don't know if you all know how he passed, but he was in Mayapur, and then he was going to the airport, and he was in a car accident, also. And then every day after. Now, if you go to Mayapur, and it's right around the Mayapur festival time when a lot of people are there. So I remember one time I was at a disappearance festival for him. This is several years ago. And the servant, I didn't know this, but the servant said, "Let me tell you some more details about Goswami's passing." And so he passed on a Sunday or a Monday, I forget exactly the day of the week, but anyway, they started packing a day or two before, getting ready to leave Mayapur. They'd been there for a while. And so this devotee who was serving as his servant at the time said, that Maharaj said to me, "Hey, okay, well, it's time to Radha Krishna, it's time, we're going home now, we gotta go home." And so Radha Krishna said, yeah, we gotta go. And then Goswami said, "Yeah, well, I mean, we're really going home. We're going home." We're going home. And he said he was struck. He never shared this before. And he was sharing it for the first time. He said, and Maharaj kept, as the countdown got closer to us leaving, he kept saying, Maharaj was like a kid who was going on a great trip, and he's saying, "We're going home, Radha Krishna, we're going home." And so, yes, Maharaj. But he didn't know what he kept saying, why is he talking like this? Okay, we've done this before. We've gotten ready to go to the airport. And so, and then they, got in the car and they went. And then if you know the story, the driver fell asleep and this, I think about 20 minutes away or a half hour away, it's called Fulia. It's a little gram, Fulia gram. It's still there. You can go through it on the way to Mayapur. And Goswami was in the front. And he got the brunt of it. When they hit the tree, the cabbie fell asleep. And he passed. Boom. Yeah. Radha Krishna survived. And this other lady who was a disciple of Goswami, she died of injuries too later on. And then Radha Krishna, he shared that, and then I looked at Goswami when he had passed. He had left his body, but there was like a smile on his face, the faint smile, like he had died peacefully, because he was not he was in devotional consciousness, so he wasn't seeing death as the end. He was seeing it. It was like going to Krishna. It was like seeing Krishna. Mrityu sarvaharascha. I am also all devouring death. Krishna says in the 10th chapter of the Gita. So,
Swami looks like he has a big smile. I don't know if you've seen it.
Sure you've
seen it, like
in the picture.
Yeah, video of that scene. It looks like he's seeing Krishna.
Yeah, Radhanath Swami, who was with Bhaktitirtha Swami for 6 weeks, May, June 2005, when it happened. And that was something for Radhanath Swami to stay put for 6 weeks, because everybody's always pulling him here and there. But he committed. And so he said, later he asked Bhaktitirtha Swami, because he knew that materially he was in excruciating agony because of the cancer, you know. And so he asked him, how are you feeling? Right toward the end. And Bhaktitirtha Swami said, it doesn't get any better than this. And it was like he was hinting, or it was like he was having, you know, Krishna, Radha Krishna vision calling him. Yeah.
Where was Tamal Krishna Maharaj headed when he was going to go to the airport? Where he was going to
Oh, I don't. Let's see, 2002.
Because he was meeting Mayapur.
Yeah, and I think he graduated from Cambridge by then. Yeah, because he was. Yeah, that's one reason he came to Mayapur too, because he hadn't been there in a while because of his intense studies, and he was so glad to be back with his godbrothers and have kirtan with them, and just appreciate their association. And everybody noticed how all the affectionate dealings he was having with his godbrothers. That's why when everybody got the news, you know, that morning, everybody was in total shock. Because Goswami, because his next thing, what's he going to do now with this degree? You know, he wanted to start the Mayapur University that Prabhupada wanted. He wanted to start, you know, spearheading that. So, but then Krishna took him. So, so I thought, you know, when I heard Charu passed, believe it or not, I mean, he was born the same year I was, 1946. He was also 79 when he passed. But we lived in different orbits, and I don't recall ever having a conversation with him. But I do remember him giving class in LA, and I saw him give class in Berkeley, where he was the president for a while. So as Devaki Mataji said, when we gossip about devotees, it just drags us down. But when we glorify devotees, it's very uplifting and purifying. So I was hoping Chandrika would be in the room because she had association with him. But my godbrother, he's the senior person in the room here. He had association with True, not a whole lot, but I want to ask Jai Jagadish Prabhu to say something about Charu, because I'd like to hear about him, because I never got to know him.
Wait.
Okay, yeah, sure.
My godbrother Korma wrote was quite an author, but one of his books was The Great Transcendental Adventure.
Yes.
About the birth and growth of the yatras in Australia and New Zealand, and Prabhupada's several visits there. So, memory's a little hazy, but I believe that's where Taru and Bhai Bobby joined.
Yes.
Yes.
Sydney.
Isn't it? Okay. And it means that they've been together a long time.
Yes.
Now the year would have been the early 70s.
Yes, like 71.
Right.
Yeah.
So Prabhupada was due to visit fairly soon, and Charu Prabhu had a lot of opportunity to do service. And when he first saw Prabhupada in the airport, he was so enthusiastic. He paid obeisances on the hard airport floor with such enthusiasm that he suffered a concussion.
He banged his head up. Whew.
So I come from a radio family. My father was very prominent in radio and very successful in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. And he actually, my father, narrated several of the early films of Yadavar and Shaka.
You may have heard his father on these films, if you've heard. Your ever well wisher.
Mhm.
And what else?
I don't remember.
The Hare Krishna people, I think. The first Hare Krishna people.
Yeah. And so I became the program director at UC Berkeley radio station. And when Charu knew about my radio background, my then wife, former wife, and I were floating a little bit. And so he invited us to manage the station in Spanish Fork, radio station in Spanish Fork, Utah, which he had just purchased. And apparently got a very good deal on it. It's an AM station. So we went there. Now, interestingly enough, Charu and my Bobby weren't at the station very often because they were in Los Angeles raising funds through bake sales to support the station and also churning out a ton of radio programs. They had built a studio at the LA Temple were, sympathetic to the message of Krishna consciousness.
Mhm.
What I remember was by this group Kansas called, All We Are Is Dust in the Wind. So they carried a certain amount of spiritual content that worked. And so I just wrote down a list of adjectives that apply, I feel, to Charu Prabhu. They both work so hard. It's just so one pointed, never any deviation in terms of their activities or whatever, just working, working. They're very successful financially, and that enabled him to purchase a radio station. And he actually said to my wife and me, "You guys don't worry about money. We're going to send you a slush fund to take care of all of your expenses." And very innovative. He set up these incredible color festivals of color, and very successful in it financially. He was fearless, very creative. He developed so many outlets to express Krishna consciousness. His classes are just incredible. They're still available on either Facebook and or YouTube. And very bold. He was not constrained by what we're supposed to do in terms of teaching activities. And so it was just so successful in that realm. So anyway, I remember him very fondly. I hold him in the highest esteem, and it's a great loss to the world at large, to ISKCON, and to devotees everywhere. His passing. So, thank you.
Yes. You want to say, Divya?
Yeah, I was living in LA when Charu and Bhagavatam were there, and they were selling their cookies, and he was in charge of the life members program.
Right.
Very successful. And raising a lot of Lakshmi that way. Then I remember they're packing up to move to Spanish Fork because they got a radio station, and it was just like going. I mean, it was just such a pioneer thing.
Yeah.
I thought, oh my God. And then it was so successful, and they opened the one in Pacific City.
Salt Lake City.
And then he always gave great lectures, and he had like ways to get away from addiction, and he had these PowerPoint presentations, and he would rap, to you get the audience of the younger generation. I remember seeing him. We saw him at Rath Yatra in Phoenix, and just amazing devotee. Both he and Bhagavatam were such workaholics with Krishna. Just amazing.
Yeah, wonderful. So, and then speaking about entrepreneurial, he was. He started the whole llama thing, raising llamas. That became very lucrative. Raising llamas, and also the colors. I was thinking of something else too. Forget. Anyway, on our Sabbath chat, Kalakanta just spontaneously, he said, oh, such a loss. And then he just gave us, I can share this with anybody who wants it, a 4-page appreciation. He had quite a bit of association with Charu. And it's really nice. So just let me know. And Diro has some glorification.
Alas, poor Ulrich. I knew him with 1978. I was 21 years old in Boston Temple, and at that time, Drew would have been about 31, 32 years old. So we were young. The temple had about 40 brahmacharis and about 1 household. That was true. But at that time, the Boston Temple had 2 buildings. Number 72, Commonwealth Avenue, where it currently resides, but also the building next door, number 70, where Sharu lives. The household building, and some ladies lived over there too. Some ladies lived there. We had a few ladies, 3, 4 ladies. Sharu. And in those days, extremely attentive and focused on sadhana, as were many devotees in those days. And I was also always a big sadhana fan, practitioner, and I appreciated his attention to his sadhana, which consisted of chanting japa and chanting shlokas, as I mentioned earlier in the morning. Index cards, which are handwritten. You write the verse on one side of the index card, which mine were in a spiral bound notebook. On the one side would be the Sanskrit, Roman version.
Yeah.
And on the other side would be the translation. So that was his system. I learned that system from him, started from him about that, and then I began to practice that system also. Led me to a lifelong passion. Shlokas. He was directly responsible. That was before I ever met Dravida. Later, when I met Dravida, that was reinforced. In a singular way. Nobody liked Dravida. But he's also a great
Shloka Raj.
devotee of learning shlokas.
Yeah.
So that was what I got from Shru's association. It was only for a few months. It was a small temple.
Yeah, I was happy to hear you say that method, because that's the method I used to do when I memorized the Gita over 6 years. Roman verse, I would put the Roman, and then I put the synonym below the line, and then the other side translation. Then I put it in my pocket, and then I would live with it. You had to live with the verse. You had to own it, and it had to own you. So you would know it by heart. And then only when I learn it like that, did I go to the next one. So I'm sure Charu did the same thing. I'm sure he lived with it. You know.
Well, I don't know about that. But the system I learned was that you have shlokas that you chant every day.
Yes, you have to keep.
Shlokas.
Yes, you have to
Not
review.
focusing on. Occasionally, I pick up a shloka, try to learn it by chanting it over. My method was always learning chant of 15, 20 minutes of shlokas every day, and then after a while, you know them all.
Yeah.
Because you chanted them every day.
Yeah, you got to use it or lose it.
Just like back in the day, we chanted Shikshashtra prayers every day after Mahamurti. Well, in a very short amount of time, everybody knew the Shikshashtra prayer by heart.
Yeah.
In these sheets.
Right.
And those have stayed with me. I never sat down to learn them or study them individually. They're just there because of chanting them. hearing and chanting, our process that Charu so ably demonstrated is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smarnam. Hearing, chanting, and remembering Vishnu. Hearing and chanting about Vishnu and remembering Vishnu.
Yes.
So by that hearing and chanting, the shlokas particularly, then you remember them and you remember Krishna.
Yes.
And of course, the supreme shloka acharya par excellence is Srimad Bhagavatam, who knew countless shlokas, referred to them in his writings, offering, just pulling them out of his hat very easily, quoting them. Later, of course, he would quote a verse or partial verse, and the editors got to find the verse, find the source, get it right. Sometimes they couldn't. So that was a very valuable lesson in my life, directly because of Charu's association, even though just not that long, 2 months.
Yeah.
But,
inspiring.
and then in his more recent part of his life, he was doing rap, which is another form of shlokaism, only with the rhyme couplets, rhyming words, as a way of attracting people by preaching philosophy in the form of that.
Yes, Divya had some more. Oh, Alita, you had something?
No, I was just filling in.
Okay. Oh, you have something.
I heard that Vaibhavi Mataji had a near-death experience, and that Krishna came to her, and she told him that she still has service to do, that she's not ready to go back.
So Yamaraj said, oh.
That reminds me of them. I don't know her. I went to the.
You don't.
I mean, well, you never told me how to do it, so how would I know how to do it? Nitai asked me how to do it, so don't be condescending about it.
Let's fight. It's Kali Yuga. Let's fight. No, come on. It's more.
So so the Holy Name Festival, I went there years ago, and it was so amazing, but I never got to meet Charu Prabhu. And so he came here for our festival, and I met him in the Krishna Cove because we did a little song that he was going to rap to. And he was just so uplifting. I just felt right away just so inspired and happy to be around him. I just felt like I was thinking right now, his whole vibe to me felt like just bring you onto his chariot and come play with Krishna with me. I felt so happy. And what else was I thinking? That how he passed, wondering why he passed in that way. And I was talking to Chandrika, and she was reminding me, were you not here for his in the middle of a miracle talk? Kirtaneshwar had asked him where he gets his inspiration for his enthusiasm, and he told him about motivational speaking. And I just felt like that so much from him. And Chandrika was saying that maybe that's why he passed like that, Krishna showing in the middle of a miracle, no matter how you pass, no matter what happens, that it'll be good and Krishna will come for you. And it's not always easy, but that we're in the middle of a miracle.
Okay. Divya, you had one more? I thought of something too, but
he was definitely a motivational speaker. We used to watch him on YouTube all the time.
He studied motivational speakers so he could learn how to do that and Krishnaize it.
Right. No, he totally was. And we used to watch him all the time. And I remember one time he was talking about memorizing shlokas, and maybe he was talking about the rap too, because they're kind of the same. But he'd say it 100 times.
He what?
He said that you got to say it 100 times.
Say what?
The shloka. To memorize something, you just say it that many times. I'm thinking, because that's how it gets stuck in your head
Yeah.
like 100 times.
Yep. Repetition can be tough. Oh. Okay, one last thing we're talking about pioneering, how we're going to Utah, Spanish Fork. That's Mormon country. So what does he do? He becomes the favorite of the Mormons. They loved him and he loved them. He's like the Acharya for interfaith preaching. It wasn't like he was some rival or competitor to the Mormon church. No, they loved his non-sectarian preaching, and they became one of the biggest donors to the temple. They gave 25 grand, right?
They did a lot of service.
Yes, that's true. They helped them build too. Okay, so to be continued. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.